Hey, what's up, people? I know that this is not scheduled, but I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about the time that I take in a commute on the regular, and I think maybe there's some opportunity for us to spend a little bit of time together, and I'm not sure. You let me know in the comments which day is better for this, whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. I'm thinking Thursday or Friday makes the most sense, but there's a regular drive time that happens. It's pretty extended, and once I get through the city and start heading north, it's really just kind of like coasting. Like, I mean, there's stop and go and stuff, but it's really, as long as I mount the phone and look down the way, I think we could probably have a bit of a conversation a little bit regularly, and I could even check and see a question. So for this to become a conversation rather than just me talking at you, if you got a question, anything that you want to ask me about, whether it's about training or firearms, or whether you know that I'm a pastor and so you want to ask something that has to do with spiritual matters or life, or hey, what would you do in this situation, or what about that situation, or what is, better yet, not what would I do, but what does the Bible say about this, or what does Jesus say about that? That's fine. If you just got some kind of random question, that's okay too. Let's have a conversation. There are folks here, and there are folks gone. There'll be folks in here in a second, maybe, and maybe folks gone. I can't promise that I will answer questions after the fact, but in the midst of the drive, if you type in a comment or a question, I think I can respond to that. Will they show up? I think so. Yeah, so this week has been a pretty up and down week for me. Some really promising moments and some really difficult moments, but that's relatively standard for my kind of work. There have been some more difficult moments in this particular week than the typical week, but it feels like that's kind of the season that's happening for me and for a lot of others, that this is a time of difficulty and resistance for a lot of people. A lot of people that are making progress are having to put more effort into the progress that they're making. Some of that's economic, some of it's social, some of it's spiritual, some of it's emotional. I don't know what all it is, but it just seems like an anecdotal seat of the pants perspective. A general perspective is, it seems like a lot of people are having more difficulty making progress than usual. So if you're working with a lot of people, that's going to impact you on multiple levels, or impact me on multiple levels. So when the community is having a hard time, I'm having an especially hard time. Not that that I have to, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it is what it is. But this week has not been all bad, and I'm really looking forward to. I've got some people that I'm going to train with this weekend and Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. My daughter turned 11 yesterday, so birthday for my middle daughter, which was really cool. I don't see any questions coming in, so I might just pop out of here, or I might let it run. I don't know. Maybe there's some topic that we should discuss, just in case. Here's one. There's a well-known principle that is often not applied, and that principle in Scripture goes like this. It says that God has not given us the Spirit, and us is people that are believers, people that recognize who God is and seek to follow Him. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. In other words, God has not encouraged His followers or His children to be swept into the chaos or the drama of society, but to have the stability of thought to transcend the circumstances that disrupt others. The idea is that you can be in a situation where you can gain the high ground and look over a situation, and you have the ability to determine not what you're going through, but how you react to it. You have the ability by seeking power outside of yourself, by yielding yourself to the Spirit of God, by not being swept into fearfulness, but retaining your presence of mind in the midst of tragedy or drama or disruption or chaos or whatever. There's a lot of parallels with this thought and the training philosophy of mindset. But the interesting thing about both is that you don't become competent in keeping your mind and refusing to enter into a fearfulness, but retaining a presence of mind. You don't accomplish that without resistance or repetition or trial or difficulty. It's great if you can experience those kinds of trials or difficulties or points of resistance in a somewhat controlled environment. Some of us have the privilege of that, and some of us get thrown into the deep end depending upon what life throws at you. But it's true that you don't know how you're going to react until you're in a given situation. But it's not true that you can't do anything about how you're going to react in a given situation before you get into that situation. Proverbs gives this idea that we're to foresee evil and hide ourselves. Excuse me. In other words, we're to prepare. Solomon, in his teaching in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, says that it's a mistake to think that your that your ability will reliably predict your experience. He points out that chance is a component of everyone's life. And in the same way, in Proverbs, the wisdom literature is giving you the idea that you should prepare for difficulty. You should prepare for unforeseen circumstances. That doesn't mean that you know what's coming, but it means that you know that chance and chaos and unforeseen circumstances are coming. So you can take steps to prepare yourself and even prepare your resources before those things happen. And so, again, it's true that you don't know how you're going to react until you get into a situation, but it's not true that you can't prepare for unforeseen circumstances. You can train, you can put yourself through trial. You can make decisions before you get into a situation. In other words, I have a principle that I live by, that if this happens, I'm going to, I don't need to decide in the moment. I've already determined what my course of action is going to be. Some of that's just as basic as if somebody says, hey, do you want to take this ecstasy? I'm using something incredibly random. If you've made the decision that you want to retain your mental faculties, and in the state that you live in, you don't want to take substances that are illegal or whatever, you've just made a decision ahead of time. You don't have to make a decision in that moment when somebody that maybe is a friend, maybe is an acquaintance, whoever, offers you something. You don't have to make a decision in that moment. You've already made the decision. You can say, hey, thank you for the offer, no, or however you want to respond, that de-escalates but also clearly communicates that this is not something that you're looking for. You didn't make that decision in that moment. You made that decision, and now you're a long time ago, and now you're acting upon it in the moment. In the same way, you might say, hey, I know that if there's a fire, our family's going to do these things, and you're going to communicate that plan to them. Hey, if there's a storm, our family's going to do these things. Hey, if something goes bump in the night, our family's going to do these things, and this is how we're going to communicate. You can make decisions ahead of time so that at the moment, you're not developing a plan, you are enacting a plan. You can also create contingencies in those things. You can't plan for everything, but you can make a plan that's flexible enough to be applied broadly in most circumstances. I think there's some people coming in and out. I don't really want to just randomly talk. If you have a question, I'd love to have a conversation about whatever. That I will see comments come up if they come up. All right, well, I'm just testing this out. It's about 12 minutes, almost 13 minutes. I think that if you guys comment a specific time and we know that we're going to meet up at that time, we might have more fruitful conversation. In general, we would have, roughly 30 minutes or so together, and that might be useful. So let me know if Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, especially if Tuesday, especially if Wednesday or Thursday would work. Friday is sometimes I work from home, but Friday is possible as well. Let me know, and we can have a kind of back and forth question and answer conversation time. Once I get on the road that is kind of like just clear cruising out of the city into the country. Anyway, I hope you're well. I look forward to talking to many of you in the comments below and in future videos. Hey, Guitar Jedi. I live in Illinois and want to move. Sorry, it faded out. Want to move, I think he said, to a free area. I don't know what the question was, but I think that if I were planning on moving right now, and I was a U.S. citizen, and I think I would be looking at just a few places that would be top of mind if I didn't have family in a specific area. So this is not to say that you would not be welcome in North Carolina, particularly if you are freedom-oriented and going to continue to vote and act and work that way. Then we would welcome you in our area of North Carolina outside of Charlotte, many of us cooperate together. We would welcome you if you have that kind of mindset, and we can talk about that in the comments. But if I were just leaving and going specifically for laws and countryside and opportunity and all those kind of things, I think I would look at Tennessee. I'm not sure right now because of all the transition that's happened with people moving. Typically, I would say Texas, but Texas and some of the same urbanization that's happening in North Carolina is difficult there. But I would look at Tennessee, Texas, Wyoming, maybe Montana as well. I think those would be kind of top of list. But for me, because of where I'm at and proximity to family and other family, Tennessee would be, if I had to go someplace, Tennessee would be my go-to spot. I've lived in Tennessee in the past, in East Tennessee, and I would probably move back to East Tennessee if I had to move someplace. But I don't plan on that. I plan on staying right here in good old North Carolina. There are some beautiful opportunities in a number of places in the states, though. I hear you, Illinois, and here's the push-pull of that. I mean, we need people to push back tyranny in the places that are not as free as our Constitution says they're supposed to be. So everybody has to decide what they're willing to give their life to. Are they willing to deal with tyranny to be able to continue to vote and push back tyranny for a longer period of time? And everybody's got a ripcord. Almost all of us would say, you know what, enough is enough. I've got to go someplace, and I've got to take my family someplace else. It's a deeper conversation. What that line is for you and what that line is for me may differ, but we can have that conversation at some time. I want to pick up some food now, guys, so you guys have a great time, and I'll talk to you on the flip side.